A lot of people worry about damaging their metabolism if they cut for too long, and the truth is, you can do some pretty negative things if you do cut for too long, but how do you know how long is too long? That's what I'm going to show you today. First, I want to be very clear about something. You cannot damage your metabolism. Your metabolism does slow down from dieting, and especially if you do very extreme dieting where you're starving yourself, super low calories, you can do a lot of negative things to your hormones and your metabolism, but it's not damage. It's a suppression, and that suppression can be undone with a process called reverse dieting. I'll talk more about this at the end of this video. But the thing about how long is too long to cut, it depends on a lot of different things, and you also have to factor in how much weight do you have to lose. Like how long someone's gonna have to cut if they're trying to lose 10 to 15 pounds. It's a lot different than someone's trying to lose 100, 150, 200 pounds. But even then, there isn't necessarily a set amount of time that's too long. I will say, not a lot of people do well after about a year. Like if you've been dieting nonstop for a year, that tends to take its toll on you. If for no other reason, mentally, you just kind of get over it. But I'm not saying you can't diet for more than a year. I've seen it. I've actually helped people go through a more than a year diet, but there are some things to watch out for. For instance, are you still seeing progress? Unfortunately, a lot of people tend to keep going with their diet, even if they're not seeing progress. Like I've heard people say, I've been on the same calories for the last 6 months or even a year. I haven't seen any progress. So if you're not seeing progress, you definitely don't want to keep pushing. It's not just going to start working out of nowhere. Also, are you still mentally in it? Because if you're mentally out of it, trying to force it just because you're not where you want to be yet is one of the worst things you can do. What that usually does is just tip you over to the point where you say, screw it, I can't take it anymore, and just go off the deep end, undo all your hard work, and end up gaining even more than you even lost. So if you're over it mentally, it's okay to stop, but stop doesn't mean give up on the lifestyle altogether. But one of the biggest things to watch out for are warning signs from your body that it's over the dieting, and if you keep pushing, things are going to go horribly wrong. So watch for things like, are you constantly ravenously hungry, super food focused, especially if you're dealing with a lot of binging and restricting? Do you have extreme fatigue, both mentally and physically? Are you always cold? Do you have brittle hair and nails? For females, have you lost your period? These are all signs your body's getting run into the ground, and if you keep pushing, it's going to be a bad situation. But keep in mind at the same time, some of these things are normal. Like to be hungry is normal. To have some loss of energy is normal. There's a big difference between some hunger and losing a little bit of strength and energy versus constant ravenous hunger where there's like no amount of food that's enough in the world to ever keep you full. You're constantly drained. You're irritated and snapping and going off on everybody because you're just so run to the ground. But if overall you're not dealing with any of these warning signs, you're still seeing progress, you have plenty of room to make adjustments, there's no reason you have to stop just because you've been going for a certain amount of time. The other thing to factor in is, are you taking diet breaks during this time? Because there's a big difference between dieting for say a year nonstop with no breaks versus every handful of weeks going back to maintenance for a week or two and giving your body a reprieve. That's going to keep your hormones and metabolism in better spots. So that's very different, and you can almost in a way make the argument that you could take that time away from the total time. But either way, diet breaks are extremely helpful and something you want to make sure you're incorporating to keep your metabolism in a good spot and keep the process working better for longer. And also, if you are doing it for a very long period of time, more extended breaks can be very useful. Like a lot of people over the holiday season, what I'll do if they're dieting, they want to keep going, well, we'll maybe stop for a month or even 2 months to get through the holidays, calories nice and high, hunger levels down, enjoy some more food and flexibility for a while. It's going to have some benefits to your hormones and metabolism, and it breaks up the monotony of dieting. Then when you get through that period of time, you come out the other side in a better spot to keep seeing good progress. Another thing that can be helpful is if you starting to get to the tail end where like you feel like, oh, I don't know how much more I can do this. I want to lose a little bit more, but I'm starting to see some of these signs. You're still in it, but it's getting a little questionable. At that point, set a deadline for your cut and say, I'm going to cut for X amount of weeks. So say, okay, I'm going to cut for 4 or 6 or whatever it's going to be. Just a short period of time. We're going to give it one final push. And what can be helpful about that is sometimes it's hard to stay on plan when you don't have that deadline because there's no real urgency behind it without it. So when you know the end is coming at this time, it's like, okay, I can stick with this for this short period because I know when it's going to be done, more food's going to be coming, and it can be a useful tool. Now, the big thing is, no matter what, whether you stop because you've reached your goal or because you're mentally over it or your body's breaking down, You gotta make sure you don't just go back to the way things were. You wanna utilize a process called reverse dieting to gradually increase your calories. It helps your hormones and metabolism improve while minimizing too much weight gain during that process so you can get your calories back up and it's more maintainable versus just staying on those low calories forever. It's just not realistic and not even smart. So you wanna work your calories up when you're done. But how fast to increase your calories reverse dieting kind of depends on what your future goals are, how things have gone, how much weight were you losing. So to find out how fast to reverse based on your body and your goals, check out this video next. Otherwise, I think you'll like this bottom video instead. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in one of those other videos.